All right, well, starting this week, we are streaming for free on dirtvision.com and the DirtVision app. So you can believe we will absolutely have plenty of dirt topics to debate coming off of the Bristol Dirt Race. And I would have to, of course, start off with Kyle Larson's comments around Ryan Preece. Spot on, spot off. After the race, he told the media, I figured we could be grown-ups and get the over it after contact with Ryan Preece that ultimately took him out of the race. I'm just reading the script, guys. Preece responded after the race by saying that the contact was not intentional and, quote, I was just trying to get all that I could. TJ, spot on, spot off.
I'm great racing. I mean, Preece got kind of ran a little bit dirty. He did get run dirty, and he ran the other guy a little bit dirty. And I mean, and it's not like he just went out there and intentionally drove him up into the fence or something. It got close. There was decisions that could have been made to avoid it. It was just hard racing. The guy doing what he has to do to get the spot. So I don't think he intentionally went up there and said, I'm going to ruin Kyle Larson's day right here, end his race. I don't think he thought that. I think he wanted to put him in a bad spot or give him. I mean, what did Kyle do to him? Force him. Yeah, he put him in a bad spot. And Preece lifted and got in the wall a little bit. And to me, Larson could have done the same thing, but he chose not to. And if you do that to a guy, most of the time when that guy comes back, that's the time that you let the guy go. And then it kind of dissolves itself from there because you know, I get into you, and you run me down. I'm probably not going to mess with you. No. I'm going to give you that spot because I already messed up once. Even if it was an accident, you know what? I'm just going to give it to you now. And then from that point on, you kind of, all right, well, we're back. I'm back where I was. You kind of putting it under the table from there. So, yeah, I don't see a problem with it handling itself right there.
Lambert, spot on, spot off.
I am spot on. It's funny because obviously I didn't see it happen because I was back there swatting flies where we were, but I went back and watched it last night, and it was a late clear, like Kyle said. I don't think that – I found it interesting, I should say. I listened to the audio, and obviously Ryan's crew chief this year was Larson's at Ganassi for quite a few years, and he didn't help the match. I mean, he basically said he's good enough. That wasn't a mistake. That was intentional. And probably put it in Ryan's head and got Ryan fired up even more. And Ryan's a fiery guy, right? He's a modified guy, comes from the short tracks. He's still a short track guy. We all know him pretty well, and the wreck with Larson later in the race after his comments, I don't think was. I do think it was intentional. It was a perfect modified nerf. You know what I mean? It was, here we are. I'm gonna send you if I can, and he did. So I'm spot on for guys handling on the racetrack and not doing it off the racetrack in the media.
Freddie, I want spot on, spot off, but I also want to add specifically for you. Do you think now Ryan, originally during the broadcast, they played his audio and he said like game on or whatever? Do you think now drivers are a little bit scared to admit when it was an intentional move?
I think you saw a direct result of Denny Hamlin's penalty in Ryan Preece's post-race interview.
Yep.
I just got loose. I don't know. I just got loose. I don't know what happened.
Car was broke.
I don't race dirt. I just got loose. You know, if Denny doesn't get hammered for saying what he said, Ryan's going to come out and say, listen, I raced that guy the way he raced me. He ran me in the fence, and I don't think, in Kyle's comments, I don't think Kyle realizes he was, he said, if you look at the whole interview, he said, I don't know what he's mad at me about. Something happened to him later. He spun out and he got in the back. He doesn't realize that he's the reason he's back there. Kyle, talking to some guys on Ryan's team, like when Kyle ran them in the fence, it bent their toe link, and then eventually it broke a bolt in the toe link, and that's why Ryan spun. So Kyle was the direct result of why Ryan's night was ruined. And I don't think Kyle realized that when Ryan got back to him. And Ryan didn't do anything more than what Kyle did to Ryan. And the reason why Kyle wrecked was Kyle. Kyle started chasing Ryan down the racetrack and ran in the side of him and spun himself out. So, Ryan gave back what he got and ran him in the fence off of 4. And, he just kind of, he didn't out and out right turn and door him. He just ran him up the racetrack until they were both kind of up against the wall, and then Ryan moved down and gave him room, and Kyle started chasing him, and Kyle bounced off
He gave
him
him
and
more
wrecked.
room. He gave him enough room.
Yeah,
It was tight, but I mean, he didn't.
and Ryan was doing it intentionally. Like, let's not kid ourselves. Ryan knows what the hell he's doing. He's a very good race car driver. And to Lambert's point, we and Ryan have raced against each other for years, since he's 13, 14 years old. And I spotted for different people. I spotted for Ryan multiple times in modified races. And he has a joke that, a lot of the Long Island guys are pretty rough, and he calls it the Long Island slide job. And it's not really a slide job. You just go in the corner and door slam the guy and knock him out of the way. And that's what he was doing. That was a typical Long Island slide job. And Ryan is, like, to Lambert's point, he knows how to do it just as good as anybody in that modified deal. But like, the thing that bothers me is that post-race interview, like, we're not seeing these drivers be honest because they're afraid of what Denny got. And Ryan would have normally, I honestly think, would have been like, I raced Kyle like Kyle raced me. He ran me in the fence. I ran him in the fence. We're even. He wrecked himself trying to wreck me. So, but he can't say that because, God forbid, you admit any kind of intentional maneuver, they could hammer you with $50,000 and take 25 points away from you.
So what is it? What kind of thought process brings a guy to say, I thought we could just get over it?
Well, I think that he doesn't realize. He thinks that he just ran him in the wall a little bit, and that was the end of it.
You're saying Kyle didn't know that.
I think Kyle doesn't realize he messed Ryan's car up, and that's why Ryan spun out. I think that. And to your point, listen to that audio. Ryan had the little devil on his shoulder.
Oh,
he was. I don't know that
Chad Johnston was.
He was revving the fire, and I don't know if there's some deep-seated stuff there with him and Larson that went on when they were working together, but he was stoking the fire. If Ryan Preece was at a 3 mad, by the time Chad got done with him, he was about a 10, and he was looking for blood at that point.
Race how you raced.
That's it, and I think that's the general code. But you can't even.
Great.
And I think what would be wrong with that if Ryan came out after the race and said, "Listen, Larson ran me in the fence. I ran him in the fence. Like, that's it. Like, that's the end of it."
Potential penalty now.
Yeah, but that's a penalty now.
Right.
Like, you can't. That's the problem with that penalty to Denny. You're not getting any honesty out of these drivers anymore because they're afraid of what they can say.